Hi, this is E at ungovernedrecords.com, and this is the first tutorial I'm doing on FL Studio. I'm using FL Studio 12. This can be taken back into previous versions of FL Studio, as it's quite generally the same. This tutorial is aimed at the very beginner. If you've just installed FL Studio and you need to know a quick setup guide for some settings, etc., and a quick general overview of FL Studio, then this is the video for you. If you've been using FL Studio for a little bit, then I'll probably move on to some of our later tutorials that are coming up soon, as you probably know most of this. So let's get started. First off, we want to go up here to the tabs up here, and we want to go to options, and we'll start off with the audio settings. So under the audio tab here, first off we have our input output and our device. Currently I'm using FL Studio's ASIO driver. This is because of the way that I'm screen capturing at the moment and making this tutorial video. I'm having to use that. Usually I would be using my Roland Duo Capture audio interface, which is it's an external sound card in a sense. If you haven't got one, highly recommend getting one. This is what you're going to need to reduce latency and to make it possible for you to have lots of instruments and a lot of stuff going on. Well, as long as your computer as well, you've got enough RAM and stuff to run some of these programs and instruments and VSTs and things like that. You're going to need one of these, especially if you want to input as well. If you want to have input from a condenser microphone like I'm using now, or from like say such a guitar and something like that. But if you have not got one of these or another built-in sound card, if it's just a standard built-in sound card, you're probably going to be using your primary sound driver. But I would recommend, and FL Studio recommend the FL Studio ASIO to start off with. So if you haven't got one, if you haven't got your own audio interface, I would recommend using the FL Studio ASIO driver. The sample rate, keep that as standard. Keep that on a 44,100. Is quite a universal rate to be using. You could use the 48,000 hertz, but I would recommend, and it's recommended for most people, just to use the 44,100. So let's go down to the panel here. And what you're going to do is you might want to play around with the buffer size on some of these. Like I've got mine quite low because I've got a good decent amount of RAM on here, and I'm not going to be doing much on this episode, so I'm not going to get much latency or clipping. So what you're going to want to do is play around. Set this at, I'd say start off at 512, maybe start in the middle, and then once you start playing around with FL Studio and you're using some sounds, if you start to hear some clipping, or you're getting some latency, a lot of clipping, then try increasing it, or just play around with the different settings. Go back into the audio settings, come back to the ASIO panel we're in here now, and just play around with it until you find a nice little equilibrium. But you won't really get many of these problems if you have an audio interface. And quickly, just to show you, those of you who don't know about audio interfaces, I've got Amazon up here real quick, and these are some of the smaller end audio interfaces you can get. Most of them are USB, I think. Yep, USB. So you can plug them straight into your computer, just install the drivers for it, and pretty much you're ready to go. These are some of the lower ends. They've got one channel coming in for the XLR inputs here. And then you can go up to, this one's quite a popular one, I've seen a lot of people use it, is the Scarlett 2i2 USB interface. As you can see, the price isn't too bad. You know, if you're going to invest in this as a hobby, or you're looking to make beats as a producer and sell to other artists on the internet and lease out beats, you're really going to need to invest in some of your gear. And this is a must-have if you're going to be a producer or beat maker. The one I've been using, and this is the one I have right now, it's very basic. It's just got two channels. USB, it's fairly cheap, it's £109. What's that roughly converted to? $130, $140, something like that. So it's not too bad. It's great for me because I can use a condenser microphone, and also I can use, say, a guitar like at the same time. I can record them at the same time, which is very handy for me. Very, very easy to set up, and trust me, you're going to need one of them if you're going to be serious about doing this. So let's get back into FL Studio. And just leave these other settings as they are, and then we go down to the CPU. And if you have the iCore 5 or the i7, you're going to want to make sure you've got multi-threaded generator processing and multi-threaded mixer processing selected there. And whatever CPU you have, make sure you've got Smart Disable selected. And what these things are going to do is they're going to really try and squeeze as much CPU out of your computer as it can for FL Studio, so that you don't get the latency, you don't get the lag, you don't get the clipping. It's going to squeeze as much as it possibly can out to benefit you, basically, in making your music. So what we're going to quickly do is we're going to go from here quickly, and we're going to go straight to the mixer. I'm going to close that down. And we can open up, we can view the mixer here, up here in this toolbar up here is the mixer channel here, or you can push F9 alternatively. And here we have the mixer. Don't worry about that, that's what I'm using for my microphone, that channel 10. And we want to come over here, and this is your basic layout of your mixer. These are your inserts, but what we want to concentrate on just today is literally just the master. So we've got the master here, and what we need to do is check at the bottom right hand corner of the mixer here, and click on the drop down menu, and what you see there is the FL Studio ASIO stereo, and this is basically this is going to be your output. So if you've selected what we just went into a minute ago as your device, input out device, if you're not getting any sound coming out, you might have it selected to none. So what you do is you come on the mixer, go to the master channel, come down here to this drop down menu, and make sure you select the one that the device you've selected in there as you're in out, and then you should be ready to go, and you'll be hearing the sounds coming out of your system. So let's quickly go back into that. We'll close that down, options, audio settings, and I think that's all the audio settings done. Yeah, so that's a quick setup guide for you audio. And we're going to file parameters now. So you can quickly choose your backup, your auto saves. I don't personally auto save, I just prefer to save stuff myself, but you can set it to save things every so often in certain intervals there, as you can see, so you can choose one of them. When you install FL Studio, there's a VST file that I think it already puts in automatically for its own VSTs, and you can add your own VSTs to that, or install the VST path into that same path, or if you want to create your own separate one, you can do so by literally creating it within your computer, in your documents, and then you can come in here, click on the little folder, and then go through and find exactly where that is, wherever you've installed it to, and select that file path. That's what I've done now. I think that might actually be the same one because I used the previous FL Studio 11 version, and I just didn't want to mix things up, so I kept them all in the same folder. You can then use this button here to refresh plugin list, and that will refresh everything within those folders, and then FL Studio will be able to find them, and you can use them in the mixer or in your channel rack, which we'll cover in a later video. Let's move on now to the browser. Now the browser is here. It's found up this logo here, and you can click that. You can use Alt F8, also opens it. And this is your browser, and this is where you're going to find everything, every sound, every VST, every sort of thing to do within FL Studio. The files and the folders within the computer is what you're going to find here, and this is going to be your go-to guide. There are other ways, and I'll go more into that in later videos about how you can add things within the project. But these are where you're going to find a lot of your WAV forms and your different sounds and your MP3s. I wouldn't really recommend using MP3s, but your WAV sounds, etc., and your downloaded packs you might have downloaded from somewhere, or your sounds that you've made out on the go or around the house or whatever. This is where you're going to want to file them all, and this is where you're going to find them, so you're able to drag them in. Excuse me, like here. So I've got one here. You'll have it here. It's a packs, and this is what comes with FL Studio. This basic setup that you have here will give you some drums, some instruments, some legacy stuff. I think that's back from some of the really old school like FL Studios. You get some basic loops and things like that, which is quite handy. So this is where what we're going to do is we're going to quickly show you this. So FL Studio gives that as a folder. You have your packs in there already, and that will be already assigned within FL Studio. What I do is I literally put a shortcut on my desktop to my packs. So whenever I download anything or I want to quickly access it from my download folder straight into that, I can quickly just access that as a shortcut and dump new sounds in there. You can also set up here, like the same way up here as you've got the folder button here, you have like another set of folders here that you can choose for different file paths for FL Studio to find your sounds. I've literally got a fair few just to remind me of certain paths where I've got certain VSTs installed, or where I've got certain things that I download, patches, packs and things like that. So you don't necessarily have to have all these, but you can create your own folder path for FL Studio to find. And the same again as that, click on the folder, find out where you've stored your sounds, enter it in, and then FL Studio will bring it up and in here somewhere. So I've got my packs from FL Studio 11. These are some of like the packs. I haven't put all of them in. I've sort of tried to arrange it a bit better, but these are my packs, and this is literally what you will do. You will literally just grab them and just drop them in. Like this, it's literally just a simple task of going through. You find it. There's the sound. You grab it, drag it across into your channel rack, and that's your sound there. And we'll go into more detail on this, like in the next sort of episodes, about how we do this. This is just a quick basic setup and overview. So once you've got that set up, that is you ready to start making your music. You've got your files coming in, you've got your audio interface set up, or your audio input output set up, and we'll just have a quick overlook at some of these things. So here we have the main toolbar at the roof of FL Studio. There's your file name, your standard sort of close, minimize, blah blah blah, and then these are your standard sort of file tabs. You can have a quick look through these yourself. They're quite self-explanatory. But one of the cool things about FL Studio is down here, this under the toolbar, there's a little screen here. So when you scroll over things, if you keep an eye on here, when you scroll over it, you get little hints about what it is you're scrolling over. And this could be anywhere within FL Studio, within the mixer, or within the channel rack, or any sort of like knob or button or anything. It will tell you what it is. Most generally, what that button applies to. And also gives you, if you look at the bottom right here of the screen, you'll find that it gives you a shortcut to these certain things, so that you know that if you push F5, that will bring up my playlist. So you'll get the workflow a lot quicker. Keep an eye on that. You'll see the shortcuts, and your workflow will start increasing just by being quicker access to things, which really helps out a lot. The rest is quite self-explanatory. Your stop-start, your record button. Here we have the song pattern mode. FL Studio works quite well. Basically what it does is you work with a pattern and then apply that pattern. You work with patterns within the channel rack, so you create patterns here. For a quick example, there we go, like a quick little pattern like that example, and this is in pattern mode, as you can see it going through here, and that creates a pattern. And then what we can do is we can switch that from pattern, it's gone now into song mode. We open up our playlist, and the playlist here is where this is where you piece all of your patterns together to make your mix. This is where you make your beat. This is where you piece everything together. So you're making your puzzle pieces, and here you're putting your puzzle together, and you're getting the overall picture of everything. So here we have pattern 1, which is what we're working with here, pattern 1, and it's as simple as painting it down, and then we can play that through on the playlist, and then we can switch back if we want to, and that's just playing the pattern over and over again. Switch through, and that will play on the playlist. Obviously I'm going to go over these a lot more details. I'm just quickly showing you the overall layout. So the channel rack is where we load our instruments, all of our sounds, other things, some automation and things like that you can see within here. This is where the patterns are made, and this is where we control our instruments and sounds. Like, so once we click on a channel, so the clap for example, and this is now the channel settings, and we'll go through this in a lot more detail in the next few tutorials. So that's your channel rack, that's where you make your patterns. Then we have the playlist, as what I said. This is where you piece everything together. This is where you do your automation. This is where this is where you piece everything together. So this is going to be after you've done most of your stuff. This is where you place it all together. Then we have a piano roll, which works with inside the channel rack, here. So you use the piano roll like this, and you can place notes in a lot different. Instead of just having like 4 here, like 4 per beat, you can split it up as much as you want. And then there's grid settings, there's other sort of things you can do. This is where you're playing sort of your instruments like a piano, for instance. You won't just see one line, you'll get multiple lines. You're playing chords and stuff, and once again we will go over this in detail in later tutorials. Then we have obviously one of the main things is your mixer. This is where you're going to start mixing everything down. This is where you're going to add all your effects. This is where I like to mix as I go, or mix them sort of not overly mix and master as I go, but I like the sounds. Like if I want to use reverb on something, I like to hear it straight away and build on top of that. Other people work differently and add everything and mix down at the end and add all their effects towards the end. But you'll find your own workflow and how you like to work. But this is what we do and how we send channels from here. So here we have channel 1. Oh, sorry, plug-in picker. Here we have the clap, which is on insert 2. And here we can see it says track and that is literally assigned as I scroll through this, or hold left click or scroll through, it assigns it to an insert or a channel within the mixer. And then everything we do here on these 10, you get 10 slots on each insert. You can also send to other tracks, but we'll cover that in a later tutorial. This is where you add your effects as such. So for example, I could quickly grab this on, so we're on insert 2, the clap is selected there, it's on insert 2, we've just added a quick reverb, cut out some of the low notes, and there's the clap going with a nice little reverb on it. So yeah, that's pretty much the overall basics of FL Studio. This can be applied to previous versions of FL Studio. I hope this has helped out. In the next episode, we're going to go over more in detail of each of these. I'll probably start off maybe with the channel rack, and we'll go over some of the basics of the channel rack and how it works and integrates with the other major core parts of FL Studio. So I really hope this has helped you. If you're just getting started with FL Studio, I wish you all the best. I wish you a long time and a lot of fun with FL Studio making music. This has been my go-to program since FL Studio 5, I think. But enough of me. I wish you all the best. I hope this video would help. If you like the video, please like and please subscribe, and check out our new tutorials coming up soon. Take care.